for coming today. And Joel, thank you so much for that music. I didn't know if I was supposed to relax and go to sleep or what. It was very good music to listen to. I think that's the kind of music I need to listen to before I go to class next time. Okay. So well, welcome everybody. So today, let me share my screen for a moment. Let me get that started. Everybody has become a Zoom expert, correct? In the past year. So here is a presentation for today, sharing screen there. All right. So some of the sort of ground rules for today. So while we're doing the presentation, Joel's going to take care of admitting people and making sure everybody has everything okay. If you have any technology questions, please send a message to Joel. Today, I'm doing verb tenses today. I'm not doing technology. That's a different presentation. So by way of introduction, my name is Keith Folse. I'm at the University of Central Florida here in Orlando. And I'm sure almost everybody in the room has heard of Orlando. And maybe you've been to Orlando before the pandemic, right? And if you came to Orlando, you probably didn't come to Orlando for the University of Central Florida. You came for Disney World or Universal or one of the theme parks. But the University of Central Florida here in Orlando is the largest university in the United States. We have, I can't believe how many students. We have, last year, we don't know this year because this is the first week of classes. So we don't know the number for this year. But last year we had 71,900 students. Think about that, 71900, maybe 71936 or something like that. We had almost 72,000 students. That's incredible. So the students that I work with at my university, some of them are future teachers, and some of them are people who are teaching already, but they want to get their master's degree because we have a master's in TESOL program here, a graduate class. So we also have programs for students who want to learn English. So most of the students that are at our university for English classes, not for teacher preparation, not for science, not for history, not for mathematics, but the people who are here for English, they are studying English for academic purposes. These are people who are usually between 19 and 35 years old, and they want to study in a US or Canadian university, and they need academic English. Those are the people that I deal with a lot. So those are my three populations. I have people who are teaching already. I have people who are going to be teachers in the future. And I have students who are studying English usually for academic purposes. So instead of ESL, second language, or EFL, foreign language, it's something that we call EAP. EAP, English for academic purposes. So I know that most of the people today are in Panama. I saw we have one or two from Turkey, and we might have some from Colombia. I know Joel sometimes has people from Colombia also in these sessions. But wherever you are, I want you to think about a lot about the people that you're teaching, because the message I have today about verb tenses, the way you respond to today's topic should vary, should be different according to the students that you're teaching. For those of you who teach little kids, some of you teach elementary school, so you teach kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, you know, first year, second year, third year, maybe fourth year. That's a very different learner than the people who are in high school. And that's a very different learner from the people who are at my university, not because it's my university, but people who are in the university to learn English for a real concrete purpose, right? So I'm going to talk a lot about background today, background of teachers, background of students. I'm going to focus only on one topic today, verb tenses, okay? And information about verb tenses and how you might teach those verb tenses as well. So Joel asked me to talk about my background a little bit. I'm obviously from the United States. I'm a native English speaker. I've studied many foreign languages. My first foreign language was French. I'm certified to teach French. I'm also, I studied Spanish, al español también. So if somebody has a question you want to ask in Spanish, easy Spanish, I'm happy to have that question also. But French, Spanish, Malay, Malaysia, Arabic, Japanese. I lived in Japan for 6 years. I lived in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia for 3 years. I taught in Japan for 6 years. I taught in Malaysia for 3 years. I taught in Saudi Arabia for a year, and I taught in Kuwait in the Middle East for 6 months as well. It's a short-term contract. One of the languages I didn't mention, so we've got English, French, Spanish, Arabic, Malay, Japanese, and German. So German I studied just for a little bit, a long time ago, but during COVID, I decided that, you know, some people decided for COVID, they were going to get better at staying at home and watching Netflix. That's one possibility. Some people decided to learn how to cook. In the United States, a lot of people at the beginning of COVID learned how to cook and they got good at cooking because they were locked in their kitchen for, you know, a long time. And other people went to the gymnasium or got weights and got big bodies. I didn't go to the gym. You can't see my arms right now, but I didn't go to the gym. But here's what I did do. I decided to learn a language and to learn a language reasonably well. So I started taking German again. I started last August. I had one semester at my university online. I had a second semester at another university online. And then today, right before this class, I had German for 3 hours. So now I am in a German course that is in Berlin, Germany, but because of COVID, the class is not meeting face-to-face, it's online. So I have an online class for 3 hours on Tuesday and 3 hours on Thursday. I'm doing 6 hours a week plus 1 hour of conversation on Wednesday night. So I'm a pretty serious language student. The reason I tell you this is I have been teaching English and French and Spanish. I taught Spanish in Japanese in Japan. All right, think about that. Y clase español en Japón, en japonés, okay, in Japón. It was kind of an interesting combination. I've taught a lot of languages. I've also, which is very important, been a language student. I've been a language student just watching TV, trying to learn it from TV. I've been a student sitting in a classroom where I was bored and I hated the teacher and I hated the book and I didn't want to learn that. But I was in high school and I had to take the French class. And I was also a student in classes like I am now with German where I wanted to be there. So my point is that I have had a lot of experience and experiences learning language and languages. And I also have a lot of experience with research. So I know you'll hear sometimes people say, research says blah, 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 but my number one job is a teacher. So when I read about research, or I do research now as a professor at my university, I like to find out the answer to questions that teachers want to know. So for example, my big research areas are vocabulary and grammar. Today, I'm going to talk about verb tenses, which is mostly grammar, but I'm going to talk about vocabulary a little bit in that topic, right? So I've done a lot, is what I'm trying to say. For those of you who, some of you, I know Joel told me, some of you are elementary school teachers, some high school, some university, some of you are students yourself, but my original teacher training was secondary. I was trained to teach high school languages, a high school English teacher. I have taught as low as second grade, year 2, so 7 years old. In the audience today, if you are an elementary school teacher, congratulations, not my job. I did it for 1 year and my t-shirt says, Keith Folse survived second grade. Not taught, not did a good job, but survived second grade. It was difficult. So if you are an elementary school teacher, congratulations. We say in English, my hat is off to you. It's like saluting to you that you do that job. I like older students. I like high school students and adult students better, but everybody likes something a little different. All right, so that's my background. So today I'm going to talk about verb tenses and teaching the most frequent verb tenses. This topic is a topic that all teachers know about. All teachers have an opinion about verbs and verb tenses. So I like grammar. I'm a big believer in teaching grammar, but as I have become a language learner over many years, an example in my German class right now, grammar for me is not the #1 goal. Grammar is not a goal. Grammar is a tool that allows me to do my goal. My goal in the German class is to be able to speak German better. Grammar helps me not avoid mistakes. People think about grammar meaning don't make mistakes. No, grammar for me is how do you make a sentence? That's all. So subject, verb, object, I mean, where do the pieces go, right? So more important than grammar for me in learning German now, for example, is vocabulary, vocabulary, and vocabulary. You cannot function in any language without vocabulary. You absolutely can do nothing without vocabulary. Grammar is important, but you can have weak grammar and be fluent. You're not perfect, you're not excellent, but you're fluent. People who know vocabulary can express themselves. People who know grammar can correct the test. It's a different skill, right? So believe me, I support grammar, I like grammar, but when I talk about these verb tenses today, some people will say, oh my God, I hate all these verb tenses. And other people will think, I don't know much about the verb tenses. What do I do? So my point is, today we have a lot of people in the audience. And if we have 100 people, 100 people have different opinions and different goals for this topic, because 100 people teach different students, right? I don't have one message for you as an elementary school teacher and the same message for the high school teacher and the same message for everybody. It's a little bit different, all right? So I'm going to start the presentation here. So my background, I talked about my language teaching, I talked about my language learning, and for language research, today I'm going to share with you some research about verb tenses. So when I talk about research on verb tenses, you think I mean a lesson about verb tenses. No, the lesson about verb tenses is present tense. I go, you go, he goes, she goes, it goes, we go, you go, they go. Past tense, I went, you went, he went. That's the grammar. That's the teaching part. But the research on verb tenses might be, for example, for people in Panama, because we have mostly people from Panama today, for example, for Panamanian students who are learning English in a high school, I'll choose high school right now, which verb tenses are most difficult for them? I don't know. You would know that better. And I would interview a lot of teachers and try to find out. Or, for example, in Panama, in high schools, there is some textbook. I imagine that there's a textbook that many people here are using, many high schools in Panama use. So in that book, they teach certain verb tenses. Which verb tenses do they teach and why? But I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about the most common verb tenses. So teaching the most frequent verb tenses in English. Here are the questions that I want to talk about today. And maybe with your camera, you can take a picture of this. I'm happy to share the PowerPoint later, but these are the 5 questions that I think are the most important. First, what are the verb tenses in English? Now, number 1, what are the verb tenses in English is not the same question as which verb tenses are the most important in English. That's not the same thing. All right. Okay, somebody asked me earlier about if I speak some Spanish in one of the chat things. So for example, in Spanish, if you ask me about verb tenses, you have, let's take a word like comer, to eat. Present tense, yo como. Or you can say estoy comiendo, for right now in this moment, right? Past tense, comí. Or you have comía. Or you have estaba comiendo. Or you have estuve comiendo. Or you have what? You have many, 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 right? So don't confuse number 1, which is making a list, with number 2, which is which ones are the most frequent, right? So I think many people confuse, oh, verb tenses. I need to teach all the verb tenses. Please, please, please don't try to teach your students all the verb tenses. Number 1, you'll make yourself crazy, okay? Number 2, no one needs all the verb tenses in English. I'll give you an example in Spanish. In Spanish, you have a verb tense, habré comido. For example, so I see Jessica. So Jessica's coming to my house tomorrow, and I have a cake, and I have some cookies. And Jessica says, Keith, I'm coming to your house tomorrow. I hope I can eat some of the cookies. And I say, lo siento mucho, pero mañana cuando llegues, ya habré comido los cookies. Sorry. All right. Habré comido. In English, I will have eaten. I don't think I have ever heard, and I'm 62 years old, I don't think I have ever heard anybody in English say, I will have eaten. And I am sure, and I've been speaking Spanish, I've been practicing Spanish now for, maybe 45 years. I have never heard anybody in Spanish say, habré comido. Okay. Is it possible? Yes. Don't confuse what is possible, number one, with number two, what do people actually say? Now, look at number three. Which kind of language? For what purpose? In German, I'm a German student. I am not trying to be able to read a history book in German. I want to be able to have conversation in German. So for me, spoken language is more important than book language for me, for my purposes in German. So it's very important for everybody to consider the students you have in kindergarten, in high school, at the university. Why are they in the English class? Is it because the Panamanian government said, you are in year 10, you must study English? Well, that's not a you could say that's not a real communication purpose, and I would agree. But if that's why they're there, then you always teach grammar, vocabulary, whatever, because of number three. If your students have to take a test, and that test is very important in Panama, then that's why you teach it. Is it a real world need? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, right? But if they have to take a test, that's real. So number three is also important with number two. They're the most frequent verb tenses, but number three, for what? In German, for me, I want to have conversation. All right. And I know in Spanish, for example, habré ido, habré comido, habré estado viendo la tele. That's just not frequent. You know why I can do it? Because I'm crazy about language. But when I teach Spanish, I've taught Spanish in the United States, I've taught Spanish in Japan. I don't teach people that verb tense, future perfect. Why? Because you don't need it. All right. So I have a class where I teach English to people who are learning English, and I have a separate class where I'm training future teachers. When I'm training future teachers, yes, I teach all the verb tenses to make sure that those future teachers know everything about English verb tenses. But every good teacher knows the difference between everything in my head and what the students need right now, right? So some of you I know are going to be future teachers, and that's an important message for you. Don't confuse everything about your subject with what you are actually teaching to a class of high school students, right? Sometimes the best teachers know when to shut up because you know you can't say everything. It's not your job. All right, number four, how do we identify the most frequent verb tenses? I'm going to show you that. And then how do you teach these? Number five, I don't have so much time for. Number five, we're going to break into, a part one and part two. Part two is really about number five. All right. So let me continue. Everybody, I hope you took a photo of this, maybe for these. This is how I'm going to organize today's talk. So here's an example about present perfect tense. Present perfect tense, to me, is one of the most difficult tenses in English for Spanish speakers, for example. So it looks like the student says, I have gone to the bank yesterday. He ido al banco ayer. That's not English. In English, you cannot say, I have heard people in Spanish say, wow, anoche ha llovido tanto. And you can do that in Spanish sometimes. You cannot do that in English because present perfect, which is have gone, has gone, right? Has rained, or have studied, has studied. He ido, has ido, ha ido, etc. Right? That's present perfect. Present perfect in English can never, never, never be used with a specific past time. What is specific past time? Here are concrete examples. Yesterday, or anything with last. I have gone to the bank last week. Wrong. I have gone to the bank last month. Wrong. I have gone to the bank last year. Wrong. Last and have gone cannot mix. So yesterday with present perfect is impossible. Last month, year, night is wrong. And also ago. I have gone to the bank 5 minutes ago. Hace 5 minutos he ido al banco. You can't, that's not English. That's not English. So when you have yesterday or last or ago, that is a specific concrete past action, and that adverb, that time phrase is not possible with have gone. But let's suppose you don't know that and you're not sure, and a student asks you, okay, so I see, is it Lida? So Lida is my teacher and I'm in class and I say, Lida, can I say I have gone to the bank yesterday? And Lida says, because you know, sometimes a student asks you a question and you just don't know, you can't remember in that moment. What do? I'll tell you what I do. I Google it. Just go to Google. And Google in 0.52 seconds, in 1/2 minute, Google gives me 1.3 million results. Google is better than me. I'm old, but I'm not as good as Google. And it tells you the information here. But look at this. It says have or has plus past participle makes the present perfect. Excellent. But I'm a student. What does that mean? The present perfect tense is used to describe something that happened in the past, but the exact time it happened is not important. What do you mean it's not important? How do I know when it's not important? It has a relationship with the present. Excuse me, every verb has a relationship with the present, okay? So remember when Jessica said, I'm coming to your house tomorrow, Keith, I want to eat the cookies, right? And I said, lo siento, pero mañana cuando llegas a mi casa, ya habré comido los cookies. When I tell her, ya habré comido, it's in relation to this conversation right now. So every verb has a relation with the present. My point is, this explanation is perfect grammar. It's perfect grammar language, but it doesn't really help a student sometimes. You need a teacher. So the good news is we all have a job, because this is from Google and this is correct. It's accurate, but this is not helpful to the average to the student. The student who asked this question, that information in those words is not useful. Because if I could understand this, I would not say this. Okay. So I'm going to talk about, you know, Joel told you I've written a lot of books, okay? Today, the information, I have one of my books here. Joel's going to talk about it later, but this is a short book, and I'm going to show you where these questions are, where these answers are. This is a book that I spent 10 years collecting information. I collected thousands of questions from English teachers and English students, but mostly English teachers all over the world. And my question was for the teachers, what are some of the questions that students ask you that you're not sure how to answer? And that's what this book has the top 100 questions about why. All right. So here's a question for you. Question number 67. The most frequent verb tenses in English. Which verb tenses are the most common in English? Which ones are the most important to study? Some people will tell you all the verb tenses are important. And actually that's false. That's false. I've studied 7 languages and I have seen a list of all the verb tenses, and I have never seen any language that uses all verb tenses equally. In every language, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 verb tenses are super, super common, and the others are not used so much. All right. So it says, when this is a student, when someone asks about verb tenses, they are really asking about any kind of verb form that can appear after a subject. There are 12 verb tenses in English, but there are also 2 forms of modals. For example, you know the modals: can, could, should, will, modals. Modal verbs you have in Spanish also. These are very, very important. And we also have the imperative, like go there, tell me your name, please sit here. So really in English, there are 15 possible forms. I'm going to use the word verb tense here. All right. So this is what verb tenses could look like. Here's what we have in English. So and maybe you want to take a photo of this also. So we have the simple one, simple present. He eats. Oh, that's a mistake. I am so sorry. Let me change right now. I am so sorry. Oh, horrible. Delete that photo from your phone, please. Okay. Now let's do it again. Okay. Now we have a perfect one. Okay. So now, now you can take a photo again here. Okay. So in this case, simple present, he eats. Past, he ate. Future, he will eat. Progressive. So in American, Canadian English, we usually say present progressive. In British English, they usually say present continuous. It's the same tense. So if you see a textbook that uses the word progressive, this is more like American, North American English. And if you see a textbook that uses the word continuous, it's probably a British book. But he is eating, he was eating, he will be eating. He will be eating. Él estará comiendo. Really, is it possible in Spanish? Yes. Do people say that? Maybe once a year. Me, I don't want to, if I'm a student, I don't want my teacher to spend 2 hours explaining he will be eating if people in English hardly ever use it, right? Modal, he should eat. And the perfect modal has the have, haber, no? He should have eaten. Present perfect, he has eaten. Past perfect, he had eaten. Future perfect, he will have eaten. All right. Now, perfect progressive or perfect continuous, he has been eating. Él ha estado comiendo, no? And then he had been eating, and then he will have been eating. No one says that. And then eat. My grandmother says this, eat, you don't eat enough. I think every grandmother on the planet says this, right? Okay, eat, you don't eat enough, right? So that's what our possibilities are. And if you count them, we have 15. 3 simple, 3 progressive, 3 perfect, 3 perfect progressive, the modals, the perfect modals, and the command. Now the modals, there are many, maybe 10 modals. He should eat, he can eat, he could eat, he will eat, he would eat, he may eat, he must eat, he might eat, he had better eat, etc. Right? All right, so that's what we have. All right. Now, what I want to do now is we're going to do a practice. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. All right, and I'm going to put something in the chat group for you here, and let's see if everybody can please try to download this. All right, Joel, can you post yours? By the way, can you do that? Can you share yours?
Okay, let's try it. I will try.
Okay, it's probably faster if you do it. I'll try also. All right, where's the chat? Where'd it go? Okay, I tried. There goes something. It says it was sent. Can you see that? Jonathan, thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you see that one? Thank you. Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, if you can see that, download that sheet. Okay. I will give everybody a moment. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate this, everybody. I'll give you a chance to download that. And then I'm going to show it on my screen in a moment. I will share my screen. I'll give everybody 1 minute to work with that. Okay.
I got it. Do you want me to share on the screen?
Yeah. Well, I'll share my screen again. Let me do that.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Joel. Thank you very much. Great team here, Joel. Separated by 5 hours and 2,000 miles, but we're doing well. Okay. All right, here we go. So thumbs up. Can you guys see that okay now? Yeah, cool. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Let's take a verb and let's try to do this together. So how about if we take the verb, oh, I like food. Let's do the verb. Let's use the word. Let's use take. Take's a good verb. And we're going to put it with she. So simple present tense for she would be she takes. And then she took. She will take. Or you could also put in here, you could do she is going to take if you want. I mean, you could do that. That's also possible. All right. Let me reduce that down. That's way too big. All right, go 10. All right. Present progressive. She is taking. Past progressive, she was taking, right? Future progressive, she will be taking. All right. Again, too big. Let's do that. She will be taking. All right, coming up my screen. The modal, let's use should. She should take. And the perfect modal would be she should have taken. All right, that's a possibility here. All right, and then we do present perfect. You can watch the screen or also complete with me at home. She has taken. Ella ha tomado. And then she had taken. Había tomado, right? And then she, future perfect, the one we never use. She will have taken. Ella habrá tomado. Says no one. ¿Quién habla así? Nadie. If I have a Spanish teacher, if I'm in a Spanish class and my Spanish teacher teaches me this, I'm leaving the room. I'm sorry. This is useless. This is borderline torture. Okay. And then she has been taking English classes. She has been taking piano lessons since she was 10 years old. She had been taking, that's possible, maybe a little strange, and she will have been taking. Ella habrá estado tomando. Oh my gosh, who says that? And then take. All right, let me make these smaller here. Go down to 10. Okay, Joel, can you see that okay?
Yes, I can.
Cool, okay, all right. So this is what it looks like, all right? I only have this sheet right now. I am not telling you you should do this with your students. In fact, I am telling you not to do this with your students unless I'm in us there, right? Unless you have two kinds of students. Number one, you have very advanced students who now want to review English. Or number two, you are training future teachers. If you are training future teachers, then yes, it's okay. When I teach a class at my university and I'm teaching future teachers, I do this activity with them. And on the exam, we have questions just like this on the exam. All right. So let me stop sharing. Does anyone have a question about what's on the screen now? If you have a question, you can type in the chat and then Joel can tell me. And I'm gonna stop sharing this and go back to the PowerPoint for a moment. All right. All right, let's see. Joel, does anyone have any questions there?
Let's check here in the chat box. Do we have any question? Let me see here. If you have any questions, please feel free to share on the chat box, or you can open your microphone and you can ask the question related to here. Well, Kid has been explaining.
Thanks. So what we did right just now, let me go back in the PowerPoint. Remember, these are the possible verb tenses. Also, let me say, if you ask a linguistics professor, and I mean, that's what I am, but I'm about ESL, I'm about real language teaching. But if you ask a linguistics professor how many verb tenses there are, they will say 2, present and past. The linguist, not the applied linguist, but the linguist, the theoretical linguist, only recognize 2 verb tenses in English, present and past. Everything else is like a decoration or a flavor. And I understand that thinking, but my students who are trying to learn English are not trying to become experts in linguistics. They want to know, when I want to tell my friend that I have a problem, que tengo un problema, what do I say? Do I do yo tener un problema? Yo tengo un problema? Yo tienes? Yo tú? What do I do for right now? All right. That's what people want to know. So I'm using 15 for practical purposes. not for linguistic purposes. All right. All right. So let's see. We got somebody had a chat question. All right. Let's see. Are we good? All right. Cool. All right. Let me go back to that. No, not new share. My bad. My bad. Stop there for 1 second. All right. Cool. All right. So we did this, and then I wanted you to look at the practice sheet about which verb tense is which verb tense. Okay. Now, the question though I have is, which ones are, today's talk is about teaching verb tenses. And my number one thing is I am not going to teach all the verb tenses. Why? Because they are not equally useful. Now, you might say, in Panama, in my school, the textbook has all the verb tenses, and I have to teach all the verb tenses according to the Ministry of Education in Panama, for example. If that is what they tell you to do, that is what you do. I'm going to give you some advice in the second part of today's talk. But I would like people, with everything you teach in English, not just verb tenses, teach the most common examples. Teach language that people actually use. If you teach your students frequent language, then when they turn on the radio or watch TV or Netflix and they listen to English, or they try to have conversation with somebody in English, when they hear the language that you have in your class, it makes them feel good about your class. If they feel good about your class, they are more likely to participate more in your class. It's kind of a circle, right? I understand that if you teach high school or the university, there are many, many students in high school English classes or university English classes who have zero desire to learn English. And that's real. That's very real. I have taught classes like that. All right. What do? Well, I don't give up. I don't surrender. I don't just stop. I try to make things more interesting. One way to make things more interesting is when students believe, or students recognize that your content is useful. So is it useful for the test? Is it useful for Netflix? Why is it useful? And I'll come back to that after the break. But the question today is, which verb tenses do my students need when they enter a university class? So which verb tenses should you teach? Number one, you should teach the most frequent verb tenses. For who? Remember I told you purpose. Now I'm going to talk about my students. My students in my English classes, they love Netflix, but they're not going to the university to watch Netflix. Some of them sometimes, yes, okay? But they really, really, really want to be able to write academic papers in their academic classes. My English students will take a class on English literature or English history or math or something about history or science, and they have to write papers in the science class. What do those questions look like? That's what I want to show you. A corpus study. I'm not sure if you know what corpus is. Corpus comes from Latin, just like English, the word cuerpo, right? Okay, corpus. What is a corpus study? So I want to know about verb tenses in spoken English. So maybe I would put, I see Saul and Lida, and I would ask Lida, what do you think are the most important tenses? Or I would ask Saul, what do you think are the most important tenses? Or maybe Saul would ask me, Keith, what do you think? Well, here's what. We don't want to know what Keith thinks or what Lida thinks or what Saul thinks. We want to know a fact. In fact, which verb tenses are more common. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to create a corpus. A corpus is a collection of real language. Here we go. So at my university, 5 years ago, I had a student from Saudi Arabia named Othman. And Othman was doing his thesis, his research. And so Othman's question was, which verb tenses are most common in university writing? You know, like, for example, when my students leave high school, they go to the university, they have to write a paper. Well, it's not a big scientific paper for Wikipedia. It's just a university class paper. But what does it look like? I mean, is it 5 pages long? Is it 10 pages long? Is it technical language? Is it normal language? What kind of language is it? So how do we study this? We create a corpus, a collection. So Othman collected 103,000 words of English. He got papers from students. So we went to the teacher, and this was an English class, like an English composition. So Othman went to the English composition teachers, several teachers, and said, can you please give me, can you share with me some of your papers, some students' papers who got a good grade? In the United States, we have A, B, C, D, F. We don't want the F papers. Those are really bad. We don't want the D or the C. So Othman collected papers that got an A or a B. They got good grades. We want to study the good grades. And he got the papers. He collected 31 big papers from these students, and 31 papers gave him over 100,000 words. My assignment for Othman was, you must have at least 100,000 words. So that's what he did. Now, everybody look at the screen right now. You see we have 15 categories: present, past, future, perfect, 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 modals, progressive, present, perfect, progressive, and imperative. Now, there are 15. All the verbs equals 100%, 100. So if we divide 100 by 15, roughly, approximately, it's 6. So if we have a perfect world, and no world is perfect, if we have a perfect world and these are all equal, then 6% of the verbs are simple present, 6% are simple past, 6% are imperative, 6% are future perfect. They're all 6%. If you do 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 over and over, you will have approximately 100%. But that is not what happens. That is absolutely not correct. So here's what I want you to do. In the chat group, I want you to tell me, these are English composition papers about your vacation, about your mother, about your teacher, about, I don't know, about the worldwide pandemic, many different topics. Which verb tenses are the most frequent? And I will tell you that 3 verb tenses dominate. So here's what I want you to do, everybody in the chat group right now, and Joel, you can help me make sure. In the chat group, write for me, tell me, what do you think, everybody, you're a teacher or a student who's going to be a teacher, what do you think are the top 3, the highest 3 most frequent verb tenses in these English papers written by students who are 19 years old, 20 years old, native English speakers, native writers, but they're normal English speakers. That's what I'm saying. So I'll give everybody a chance to write. Choose 3. What do you think are the top 3? And I'm going to look at the chat group right now and see what people are writing. Okay, let's see what we got. Top 3. Oh, I see. People like present, simple present a lot. Past, future, present progressive. All right, progressive, future, present progressive. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see, future. People like future. People like past continuous. Simple future, simple past, simple present. Okay. All right. So Joel, what do you think are some, when you read this, what do you think are some of the most common answers that people are given if you have to summarize? It looks like I see a lot of simple present, a lot of simple past. I saw a lot of simple future. My question, here's the thing. Right now in this room, we probably have 100 people. I'm guessing 100 people. 100 people. The average person in here, has been teaching for what? 1,000 years, sorry, 10 years. So 100 times 10, that means we have 1,000 years collectively of teaching experience. So today we have the opinion of what 1,000 years of teaching experience think. Not know, but think. But you see, we don't care what people think. So I will tell you that nobody has the correct answer. I didn't see anybody with the correct answer. So, and also the answer for me was shocking because it's not what I predicted. All right. So my prediction was simple present, simple past, present perfect. That was my prediction, but that's not what we find. All right. So here's the answer. All right. Now I'm going to rearrange a little bit. I'm going to, the one that has almost 0 or 1, I'm going to cut out. We have that. And now I'm going to rearrange. So this was not 1 student or 2 students or 1 class. This is 100,000 words of real text, real language, not the grammar book, not the, not Keith Folse, not Lida, not Saul, not Joel, but real. This is a fact. 50% of all the verbs are simple present. 29% are simple past. The modals are 10%. I never predicted modals as being very important. In fact, in my experience, in most grammar books, modals are near the end. Oh, a propósito, tenemos modals. No, this isn't ningún a propósito. This is a big deal. It's a big deal here, all right? So that's what we have. The top 3, present, past, modals. Present perfect, 5%, all right? So now, maybe you will say, okay, that's English papers. Maybe Othman, maybe. No, ningún maybe, all right? So we look at another group of papers. This time I look at history papers. And I have another student named Bushra, also from Saudi Arabia, and her thesis. And she also collected 100,000 words of text, right? Of real papers that got an A or a B. These are good papers. The history professor said it was good, right? So, and that I'm not going to tell the history professor what to do. That's his job, right? So in this case, yeah, the history professor here said these are A's or B's. Now, same thing, everybody. What's your prediction? Now it's not English papers, it's history papers. What do you think? So in the chat group, what do you think are the top 3 for the history papers? The other group was English composition, where they're writing, in general, my vacation, the most important person for me, or something like that. Let's see. So Angel finished, yeah. Let's see. What else you got? Jonathan wrote answers. Thank you. Milena. Don't be shy, everybody. Write something here. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Irisencia wrote something interesting. Simple past, past perfect, past progressive. Yeah. I also thought that. También pensaba así, because we have past perfect, past progressive. Wow, this must be really, really common. All right. Now, everybody will be surprised when I show you these answers. Ready? Again, this is not what we think, what we know. Check it out. So 1%, goodbye. Rearrange. Look what we have. Simple past was 44%. So yeah, but simple present is 39%. And modals are 9%. Past perfect, Irisena had this, past perfect is there, but only 2%. And the past modals could have gone, should have gone, may have gone, right? With the have. But we still have basically, what are the top 3? The same top 3. Before, so here's what you have, we put together. And Joel, this is my last slide before the break, okay? So we have, look at this, we have the same 92% in English composition was simple past, I'm sorry, no, 92% in the history papers was simple past, simple present, and the modals, and 89% in the composition class was simple present, simple past, and the modals. If you think about it, everybody, just think about it for a moment. 92 and 89 together is, I'm going to say 90%. 90% de todos los verbos que pasaron, que existieron en papeles escritos por personas normales are these 3 kinds of verbs. What does it tell you? Number 1, don't teach all the verb tenses. Concentrate, focus on these 3. And present perfect, and maybe past perfect, maybe simple future. So this is not for conversation. For conversation would be a different group. But today I gave you this data because this is the data that I had, okay? So Joel, I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment and let you do your halftime show, okay?
Perfect, wonderful. I really like that halftime show. Everybody here, I hope you have been learning. It is our break, our halftime show. You don't have to leave. What we're going to have is we're going to watch a short video about Kid Folse books, and then we'll have a presentation from one of our main partners, Quality Leadership University. They will be talking about their TESOL program, and there is a raffle at the end of the presentation. Please stay here in order to compete for the raffle. Before going into the video, I would like to introduce Marcela Reyes from Quality Leadership University. She is going to talk about, the TESOL program that this university is offering for TESOL teachers or for ESL teachers. Marcela, bienvenida.
Hola Joel, buenas tardes a todos, gracias por la invitación. No sé si me dejas compartir pantalla para poderles compartir aquí a todos los participantes, como dijo Joel, al final.
Ya te hice co-host, ya.
Súper. Al final vamos a tener la oportunidad, así que les digo para que alisten su celular de escanear el código QR y puedan descargar el formulario donde pueden participar de la rifa que les dice Joel. Es una presentación muy corta, les voy a presentar brevemente nuestra universidad, les voy a hablar sobre el programa y ustedes más adelante van a tener la oportunidad de conocer más a fondo, de visitar nuestras redes sociales y, por qué no, ver la posibilidad de que quieran pedir información del programa sin compromiso. El día de hoy pues les presento a Quality Leadership University. Trabajamos muy de la mano, enfocados en el liderazgo, en el desarrollo de habilidades y en lograr hacer un aporte en la educación en Panamá. Nosotros somos una universidad fundada hace más de 24 años. Ya tenemos constituidos y acreditados y a más de 5,000 graduados hasta el momento, más de 1,800 estudiantes. Manejamos programas propios y también programas de doble titulación, como también acreditaciones nacionales e internacionales. Donde nos hemos enfocado mucho en poder traer una educación de alto nivel, así que alrededor del 80% de nuestros docentes tienen grado de doctorado. Tenemos programas de licenciatura, educación ejecutiva, posgrados, maestrías, doctorado, programas de inglés también. Y también tenemos el día de hoy para presentarles nuestra maestría en TESOL. Aquí están algunos de nuestros programas que pueden encontrar en la página web. Estos son programas propios, tenemos 6 programas y programas en convenio de doble titulación. Tenemos estas maestrías que son 5 y un doctorado que es nuestro nuevo programa del año. El día de hoy les voy a contar un poco sobre la maestría en TESOL. Está muy enfocada a lo que ustedes están haciendo hoy. Es una maestría de corta duración, donde el objetivo es poder incrementar el conocimiento lingüístico de los participantes del idioma inglés, así como entrenarlos en la utilización de métodos, estrategias y técnicas propias del proceso de enseñanza como una segunda lengua. Aquí tenemos los beneficios. Es un programa de estudio avanzado. Está enfocado y dirigido a profesionales interesados en estudios avanzados que les prepare para enseñar este idioma. También aplicar su conocimiento. Al final ustedes pudieran escoger como práctica profesional ser docentes para poder hacer su trabajo final. También la mejora de procesos de enseñanza y bueno, siempre trabajamos con profesores expertos, unos nacionales, otros internacionales y llevamos varios años ya dictando este programa. Este es el programa académico que también lo pueden encontrar en nuestras redes sociales. Estas son las materias que se ven durante los 12 meses de la maestría. Son apenas un año de estudio. Manejamos horarios que están muy enfocados al perfil de estos postulantes o estos estudiantes, porque sabemos que normalmente trabajan en las noches o a veces los fines de semana, así que hemos diseñado horarios que se adaptan a este perfil profesional para que puedan seguir trabajando y puedan seguir estudiando. Nuestros requisitos de admisión son aplicar, hacer una postulación en línea, tener un título de licenciatura, sus créditos académicos, tener su TOEFL o su Duolingo, la hoja de vida, cartas de recomendación y ya pasar a la entrevista. Todos estos datos están en nuestra página web. La inversión del programa son $4,850. tenemos opción de que paguen a cuotas sin intereses, cuotas mensuales que se pueden extender hasta 36 meses. También tenemos crédito con el IFARU, tenemos un convenio con ellos donde los asesoramos y tenemos un convenio con Banesco y Banco General para las personas que quieran acceder a esto. También tenemos becas académicas por pertenecer a Panamá Bilingüe. Contamos con 2 becas para el segundo grupo que inicia en octubre de este año a las 2 primeras personas que postulen al programa. También tenemos la opción de que las personas que se matriculen puedan prepararse para hacer el TOEFL IBT. Y bueno, también contamos con un programa de referidos. Usted puede traer a su colega, a su familiar o a su amigo y matricularse con él y acceder a un bono de $250 en efectivo por traer esta persona al programa también. Estos son nuestros datos, ahí pueden descargar nuestro brochure, nos encuentran muy fácilmente en qlu.pa, donde encuentran el programa, pueden ahí directamente descargar el brochure, el horario, la información del programa y nosotros sin compromiso alguno los podemos atender. Esta es la rifa de la cual hablábamos, ustedes tienen que descargar el código QR, yo igual se los voy a dejar en el link, en el chat, les voy a dejar el link para que también puedan descargar el formulario, puedan escribir, poner sus datos y participar en esta rifa. Como yo le decía a Joel, este kit nosotros en Panamá, lo que Chorrera, Panamá y Arraiján se puede entregar en la puerta de su casa para los ganadores. Y las personas que ya se encuentren un poco lejos, ahí organizamos la logística de cómo se les va a entregar. Así que Joel va a ser el encargado de poder definir quiénes serán estas personas y así de esta manera se les entregará su kit con el libro y con su bolsa, su termo y sus esferos. Muchísimas gracias. Les voy a dejar el link en el chat y las personas que alcanzaron a descargar su código QR, pues llenan la información y nos llega la información a nosotros directamente. Que pasen una feliz tarde para todos.
Excellent. Great halftime show, right? It is halftime show with Quality Leadership University. Amazing. Thank you very much. Gracias, Marcela, por la oportunidad. Quality Leadership University is one of our main partners in these programs. So please try to fill out the form and probably you're going to be one of the winners, right? I would like to share with you, part of this halftime show, the video of the books that we have here in Panama, written by Dr. Kit Folse. Kit, great. Kit, do you recognize those books?
I do actually. Yeah. I want to know how you made the cloud, but I want to know how you made the clouds fly. How did you make?
Well, if you would like to learn more about these books, we're going to share with you the link where you can get those books. You visit our website www.lets.net and you go to the store and you will learn more about it. Okay, so Katia says and about the speaking is great. Katia has, but those books, I think all of them. So Kit, thank you, and then continue. This is the end of the halftime show. Now we pass on to you.
Okay, so thanks, Joel. So let me share screen again and get this back. So if you guys, here's what I'd like you to be thinking about. if you have some questions you want me to answer, get ready to send me your questions. We'll have a chance for questions soon. I know, Joel, usually we rush until the end and then I have no more time, but today I try to leave time open for this if possible. All right, this is what we did before with the numbers, right? So the point is that I think the most important message from today is don't confuse the list of all the verb tenses with the verb tenses that are common, that are frequent, okay? Can you see my PowerPoint? Okay, thumbs up. Yep, that's good. Yep, cool. All right, so here we go. So what can teachers do? Well, it depends, because I don't have one message for everybody. So when you ask, the number one question that teachers ask me all the time when I finish a presentation is, people say, do you think I should teach phrasal verbs? Do you think I should teach prepositions? Do you think I should teach grammar? I don't know who you are. Who are you? I can't answer that question. And who are your students? So in fact, just last night, I had an email from a teacher and she wrote, blah, blah, blah. Do you think, she finished, do you think I should do this? And I wrote back today and said, I don't know who you teach. Are you teaching kindergarten class? Are you teaching kindergarten class, or are you teaching high school students? Are you teaching future teachers? Are you teaching people who know how to read and write already? Or is this just a conversation class? It depends. So one thing is, are you required to teach those verb tenses? Now, Joel, maybe you can tell me a little bit more about this. I'm not sure. So Joel, for example, in Panama, are people required to teach all these verb tenses? How does this work in certain Panama schools? I think Joel stepped away for a minute.
Hello, I'm here.
Yes,
yeah.
go. Okay.
Okay, in Panama, what happens is that, according to there is a curriculum and teachers follow the national curriculum that is is the program created by the Ministry of Education, and at the moment of the, every government brings a new book every 5 years. And then, and the tendency is that every 5 years, there is a new trend in education here, and teachers follow that, from the Ministry of Education, that is the authority here in Panama. Depending on the, could be the approach that every administration is bringing every 5 years. But at least, and if they use books, they follow the books, or they follow the instructions, or the, what is being shared with all the teachers.
Exactly. Thanks. This situation you described is exactly what I see in every country. So sometimes I hear people say, everybody thinks where you are is bad, right? There's the expression in English, the grass always looks greener on the other side, right? So everybody says, well, here in Panama, we do this, but it's better. No, here in Florida, we do this. It's better in Texas. It's better in California. It's better in Canada. No, everybody thinks it's better somewhere else. This is the same in I've worked in many countries. I've visited many teachers in many countries also. It's the same. Somebody in the Ministry of Education in Japan, in Panama, in Canada, in Germany decides this is what you will do. And sometimes those books match reality, and sometimes they don't match reality. So if you are not required to teach all the tenses, your book only has 5 tenses in it, then you teach those 5 tenses, right? So I said, if you're not required, then focus on only the frequent ones. If you are required to teach them all, then still teach them all, but spend more time for your students. Spend more time on the tenses that are more useful, more important, more frequent. And whether you have yes or no, I think that there are some aspects of each tense that's more difficult. So let's get an example here. So in English, for example, I'm going to give you 2 examples from English about negating, como se hace para negar un verbo, right? And pronouncing the ed. Because the past tense in English is with ed, right? So I want, wanted, ed, no? Work, Work también es con ed, pero nadie dice work it. But every beginning student says, I work it, I wish it, and that's not correct. So I'm going to talk about two things today, also from the yellow book, negating and pronouncing ed. So why these two? Because they're super common. Now, I do this workshop with native English teachers to show them that just because you're a native speaker of English, it does not qualify you to be an English teacher. And just because you are a Spanish speaker does not qualify you to be a Spanish teacher, right? So let me give you an example here. Make these sentences negative. So you have in English the expression, I like tea. What is the negative? How do you say no me gusta el té? So in English, it's I do not like tea. Of course, don't. I don't like tea, but don't is a contraction. But let's just keep it basic today. I do not like tea. Okay, do not. So I'm thinking, if I'm a student in Panama, and I say, ¿cómo se hace para decir no me gusta, que no quiero, que no tengo? ¿Cómo se hace para decir no? Ah, do not. I like tea. I do not like tea. Okay, ahí funciona. That's good. She is here. No me digas. Ya lo sé. She do not is here. Nope, not good. Why? We don't say that. If you ask a native speaker of any language, why do you say she is not here and not, why is it not possible she is do not here? And they will say three things. Everybody does it. They will say, we don't say that. What? That's not an explanation. We don't say that. That's a fact. Why not? Because we don't say that. Oh my God, that's not an explanation. Number two, people say, it doesn't sound good. No suena bien. How do I know que no suena bien? I don't speak English. I don't speak Spanish. How do I know? And the third thing a native speaker would say is, it's an exception. Oh my God. No, there are exceptions in a language, but that excuse, that reason is only valid if it's really an exception. Let's keep going. He lives here. Don't tell me. He do not lives here. Nope. Okay. He lives not here. Nope. He does not. Oh my God. Ese does. ¿De dónde vino ese does? My God. I have a car. No me digas. I do not have a car. Ding, ding, ding. Tuve suerte. Por pura suerte, I got it right. Okay. Because I'm a student and if I'm a Spanish speaker and I'm trying to think, ¿cómo se hace para negar un verbo en inglés, right? What do I do with the no? Like, okay, so in Spanish, you'll see, it's so easy in Spanish. This in English is difficult. So why should you stop your lesson and explain so much about negating? Because negating is very, very important in conversation. No puedes tener una conversación ni en inglés ni en español sin saber negar un verbo, right? I did just now. No puedes. You cannot, right? So let's keep going in English. I have eaten. Wait, no me digas. I have a car is I do not have a car. Entonces esto va a ser I do not have eaten. Nope. Oh my God. What is the system? Well, in grammar, there are no accidents. And there are very, very few exceptions. Y es por eso que lo llamamos una exception, okay? It's only an exception if you have a few examples, all right? So what's the system here? Hay un sistema. Grammar is a system. There's always a system. You don't know the system, that's different. If you ask any native speaker, why do you do this? Why do you say do not with like and not with is? They have no idea. Y pasa la misma cosa en español también. Because I'm a Spanish student and I ask my friend, El mar or la mar? Which one? And they said, well, and they tell me, 10 people tell me 2 different answers. And I said, okay, libro, el libro. Why? Can I say la libro? No. Why? No suena bien. Así no se dice. Es una excepción. Oh my God, you have no idea, right? And what about mano? We say, well, libro finishes in o, so we say el libro. If the word ends in o, it's el libro, el taco. El muchacho. Okay. What about mano? El mano. La mano. Why? Oh my God. All right. Agua. La agua. El agua. But agua ends in a. All right. Oh my God. What's happening here? Problema ends in a, but you don't say la problema. El, oh my God. If I ask a native speaker, probably you don't know. And you will say, es masculino, es femenino. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Don't use language like mas. If I don't know mesa and libro, I don't know masculino for a noun. Okay, let's keep going. She went there. Don't tell me. She did not go. Ni siquiera tiene el verbo went. La palabra went se fue. This is confusing. Now look at Spanish. Spanish is so easy. I always ask my English speakers, how much Spanish do you know from 0 to 10? Un poquito, right? They all say this, right? And they say taco, tortilla, baño, cerveza. That's all they know in Spanish. Okay. And they also know, I don't know why, they know te quiero. Everybody knows yo te quiero. Okay. So here, but in Spanish, it's easier than in English. So look what happens in Spanish. I give these English speakers, I say, here are 5 sentences in Spanish. And I say, first, find the verb. Find the verb here. We find the verb. Now, put no in front of the verb. Ya está. Now we have perfect Spanish. And in Spanish, there are no exceptions for this. No exceptions. So what's the grammar rule in Spanish? So if your students, okay, in English, we have 2 words. We have the word no, and we have the word not. If you ask a native speaker, what's the difference between no and not? They have no idea at all. People have no idea what the difference is. Now, the difference is that not, if it's with a verb, we don't use no with the verb. We use not with the verb. No answers the question. Are you hungry? No, I'm not hungry, right? Does John speak Portuguese? No, he does not speak Portuguese, right? So in Spanish, what's the word when you negate? No. Where do you put it? Before the verb. That's it. That's that end of show. All verbs in Spanish function this way. Now, come to English. It's difficult. So here's the question from the yellow book. This is from the yellow book, question 69. A student says, how do I make a negative sentence? Sometimes I put not, I am not here. Sometimes don't, I don't know. And sometimes didn't, I didn't go. Oh my God, what's happening? If I say I don't have a car, then why is it wrong to say I don't have seen Maria? Can you explain this? And this is the moment when the teacher says, I'm so sorry, we don't have enough time today. I'll explain that tomorrow. And then I'm going home and I'm going to Google or look in the yellow book to find the answer. So everybody try this. Let's do this. All right. All right. Here are 10 sentences. And I would like you in your head, I'll give everybody maybe 2 minutes, make these negative. So first, find the verb. There's the verb. Now make these negative in your head. So Joel, I'm just going to stop give everybody 2 minutes. So for example, I work would be I do not work there, etc. Okay. Pero todos tienen ahora 2 minutos para hacer esa tarea en su mente. Okay. Try it by yourself. This is not so easy. Really, it is easy if you know the rule. But for most students, it's really difficult. Now, you teach Spanish speakers. I have taught Spanish speakers, Arabic speakers, yep. All students of English, it doesn't matter what your first language is, everybody has problems negating in English. Here is, in my experience, if I teach a student from Panama, here is what the student says. I know worked there. I know worked there. She know goes to school. She know went to school. I know have a car. I know have eaten sushi. I know can play cards, etc. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Why? In English, NO is never, never, never in front of a verb. No does not decorate verbs. No answers the sentence, the question. Are you hungry today? No, I am not hungry. No, I do not want a sandwich now. Actually, yes, I am very hungry right now. Okay, so the break is coming soon. All right, so how do you make a negative? This is what happens. So those are the answers there. Now, if you notice, you see not is here 10 times. Do you see the word no in the middle of a sentence with a verb? No, nunca. Nunca vamos a tener la palabra no. La palabra no nunca va a tocar un verbo. All right. So, but I understand why Spanish speakers often say, I know work there. That's a translation from Spanish. No trabajo ahí, no? It's logical. It's very logical. All right. So if you notice, in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have do, does, and did. And this is the helping verb, el verbo auxiliar, do, right? Do para I, you, we, they, does para he, she, it, in presente, y did in pasado para todos, all right? So we have do, does, and did. This is the helping verb, the auxiliary verb, do. Now, my question for you is, let me go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have, they all have not, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 also has do, does, or did. Now go back. Everybody, look for a moment. Suppose you don't know English. You don't know any English. Now, forget number 10. Everybody, forget number 10. Number 10 is special. This is what I want to ask my students. Every student right now, what is underlined? What is underlined? The answer, the verb. The verbs are underlined. Now, you don't speak English, but you have eyes. What is different about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 compared to 6, 7, 8, 9? Okay. We have anyone want to volunteer? Forget number 10.
The tenses.
Okay, the tenses are all different, yes. But suppose, if the tenses, that's because you know some English. But suppose you don't know all. Supongamos que esto está en alemán, all right, and or in Chino, whatever, Chino. But look at the underlined part. Only using your eyes and not your brain. The problem is all of you have good brains today. Just using your eyes. What is different about number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 6, 7, 8, 9?
There are more words besides the verb.
Yes. And so in English, this is very important. Y tal vez ustedes nunca han pensado de esto, en esto, but in English, when you negate, the number of verbs is super important. Super, super, super important. Number 10, okay, I'm gonna say this in Spanish. El número 10 es el verbo to be. To be siempre es un problema en cualquier idioma que yo he estudiado, que en inglés también. So, vamos a omitir o dejar afuera el verbo to be. Imagine there's no number 10. If you only look at number 1 until 9, in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we only have one verb. In English, present tense is one verb. Past tense is one verb. All the others have 2 words or 3 words or 4 words. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. In present tense and past tense, the verb has only one word. In all the other tenses and the modals, there's 2 or 3 or 4 verbs. All right. And in English, when you want to negate, that's very important. ¿Quién sabía? Yo nunca, I never knew this. All right. So here's what happens. when you make a negative, now we have negative. Now, number 10 is an exception. El verbo to be es siempre una excepción en cualquier idioma. And you might say, well, how is the verb to be an exception in Spanish? I'm an English speaker and I'm learning Spanish, and I have the verb to be. I am, you are, he is. And in Spanish, you have ser and estar. So those two verbs in Spanish are in English, the verb to be. So in Spanish already, be is a problem for me as an English speaker, because do I say yo soy estudiante o yo estoy estudiante? Yo soy en los Estados Unidos o yo estoy en los Estados Unidos? Because it's different. I know the answer. Please don't tell me that I know the answer already, because I'm not a beginner now. But people who speak English who are learning Spanish, they will say yo estoy profesor, because it's the same in English, right? It's the same. So in that, you don't make that problem. You don't make that mistake, but English speakers make that mistake when they learn Spanish. Spanish speakers in English say, well, how do I say ser? Be. How do I say estar? Be. What do you mean it's the same, right? Okay, for negating in English, you must have two verbs or more, right? And so if you don't have two verbs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you need help. You need a helping verb. What is the number one helping verb in English? Do. Do or does in present, did in past. All right. So here's the rule from the yellow book. Question number 69. Number 1, use not. Don't use no. La palabra no nunca puede tocar un verbo. Okay. So nunca puede ir antes de un verbo. So I do not work there. I did not work there. Number 2, a negative verb in English needs at least two verbs. If you don't have two verbs, if you only have one verb, then you have to add do, does, or did. Exception, the verb to be. The verb to be is one word. He is not, he. Let me go back. Look at number 10. Number 10 is one word, but the verb to be is an exception. The verb to be never mix. The verb to be does not need help. So number 1, which one's present tense? Present tense is number 1, 3, and 5, right? Tiempo presente. Number 1, number 3, number 5. Needs help in a negative. Which one's past tense? Simple past. Number 2, regular verb. Number 4, irregular verb. It needs help. In present tense and in past tense, the verb in the negative has to have do or does or did. Why? Because you must have at least two verbs. All right? And that's the answer, right? This is such a big problem for everybody. So if you're teaching, if your students are doing English conversation, I cannot imagine a conversation that has no negative. You need negative. You need negative somewhere. Hi, Joel, what are you doing? I'm watching TV. Do you want to go to the beach tomorrow? No, I can't go with you. I have to work. No, I can't. Cannot, right? That's that extra, the not there. I can't. The negatives are super common in conversation. All right. That's question number 69. And here's my other question for today. I told you I would do two things today. Number 1 was the negating. Number 2 is the ED. So a teacher says, the teacher sees an error in a student's English and wonders, is this kind of error normal? So you're teaching first grade and the student doesn't say watched. Watched is not watched, but sometimes my students say, I watched TV. I'm sure in Panama, this is very common, right? And sometimes, honestly, for teachers where your English, you're trying to improve your English, this is a very difficult thing in English. I'm going to show you, it's not so difficult, I promise. It looks difficult, but it looks difficult because nobody maybe explained the reason what's happening. I'm going to explain this to you now. So here's a question, question 49. When I write a verb in simple past tense, I add ed. So need changes to needed. My friend asked me, what did you do last night? I answered, I watched TV. But my friend said my pronunciation of the verb watched was wrong. because I pronounced it as 2 syllables. Watch it. I watch it TV. My friend said the ED should be t, so I should say watched. Is this correct? Why? And if it is correct, why? Oh my God, crazy English. Every language does crazy things. Spanish does many crazy things. If you need examples, you let me know. I will tell you crazy things in Spanish, okay? So why is the ED pronounced t and not as an extra syllable as in wanted or needed? So in wanted, you go want, wanted. It's 2 syllables. I need, I needed, 2 syllables. Why is the ED id? What's happening? And number 50, for past tense, you add the letters ED. I'm sorry. For past tense, you add the letters ED. But how do you pronounce it? Laughed ends with the sound t, and played ends with the sound d. But can you also say laugh it and play it with 2 syllables? When is it okay to pronounce ud as an extra syllable ud, and when is it not? That's today's lesson, everybody. So here's what I want you to do by yourself right now. I'll give everybody maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes. Pronounce these words. Pronounce in the past tense. And I will tell you, some of them sound like duh, like sneezed, not sneezed, right? Some of them sound like t, like coughed, coughed, tose, no? Coughed, not coughed. And some of them say id, like added. Added is really added. Now, I'm going to pronounce all of these words as a student of English. I speak Spanish, hablo español, y soy estudiante de inglés, y ahora los voy a pronunciar como me parecen. Here we go, ready? I'm going to say, ready? So I'm going to say, robbed, cooked, arrived, wished, subtracted, snowed, chopped, graded, reviewed, bragged, persuaded, sighed. I think sigh is suspirar, tal vez, no sé. So here's a question for you. Everybody, ready? At home, with your hands, with your fingers, I want you to count how many times I have a correct verb. Correct. So for example, if I say sneezed, that's wrong. If I say coughed, that's wrong. If I say added, that's correct. All right? So sneezed is wrong. Sneezed. Coughed is wrong. It's coughed. By the way, this is not American English. This is not British English. This is not Indian English. This is not Mexican English. This is English. This is not a dialect. This is, you know, not like, oh, in Panama we say, this is the same anywhere people speak English. So please don't think it's, oh, this is Keith and his Florida English. No, okay? This is English. So everybody ready? All right, van a calificar mi examen. Tengo un examen oral. Ready? No, get ready to count. How many correct answers do I have? Ready? Robbed, cooked, arrived, wished, subtracted, snowed, chopped, graded, reviewed, bragged, persuaded, sighed. I'll do one more time. How many did I get? Because I'm not a good student today. Sorry. I did not pass the test. I'm a pretty bad student today. How many are correct from 12? Ready? One more time. Last chance. Robbed, cooked, arrived,
wished,
subtracted, snowed,
noun,
chopped, graded, reviewed, bragged, persuaded, sighed. How many do I have correct? Those are all. I have a lot of mistakes. Put in the chat group, type how many do I have correct? What do you think? What's my score from 12? 12 from 12? No, hoy no hice muy bien hoy. What's my score? 3. Yeah, 3. Hoy no fue un día. Hoy no, en la clase inglés no me fue bien. I'm sorry, okay? Who's my teacher? Who's the bad teacher who taught me this, okay? So, all right, so here's what's gonna happen. Let's just try to check and see what happens. So when we do it, if it's blue, it's a duh. Robbed, arrived, snowed, reviewed, bragged, sighed. If it's red, it's a T. Cooked, wished, chopped. And if it's green, it's an ud. Subtracted. Subtract has 2 syllables. Subtracted has 3 syllables. Graded and persuaded. Now, there is a long explanation. There's a long explanation que tiene que ver con voicing, si hay vibración aquí o no. That's for Joel in another lesson. I'm happy to explain that in great detail. And today, if we have time, somebody wants to know, I'll explain it. But students don't care. Students don't care about if there's vibration here or not. All right. Students just want to know what's the answer. Here is the short answer. Okay. It depends on the last sound. For example, rob termina con b. Arrive termina con v. Se escribe con e, pero la e es muda, ¿no? Subtract con t. Wish con sh. Snow. Snow no termina con w. Termina con o. Right? It depends on the last sound, not the spelling. Spelling is not important for how you do this rule. All right, this is not spelling. All right, it's pronunciation. All right, so here's the rule. Words that end in d or t. Si la palabra ya termina con d or t, no vas a poder agregar otra t or d. For example, need. I can't say need d. I can't do that. So what do? If the word ends in d already, you put id. Needed. What? Plotted. Oh, I can't think of another word right now. Sorry, I'm not getting an example with duh. With a T, wanted. All right. Create. Created. Act. Acted. The D, persuade. Persuaded. Invade. Invadir. Invade. Invaded. All right. If the word ends already with the sound of d or t, that means you add ud. You add a new syllable. All right. Now, but the number one, I don't teach number one. You know why? Go back. Everybody look. How many words did I have correct? You told me I have 3 correct. Which 3? The 3 words are what color here? They're green. So your students will pronounce ed as ud every single time. Rob it, cook it, arrive it, wish it, subtract it. Which ones will they accidentally have correct? Accidentally. Subtract, termina con t. Grade, termina con d. Persuade, termina con d. All right. The words that end with t or d already, your students have them correct. I don't teach that. Why? Because there's no point, because they already get it correct. So in this case, let's look at the other. Number 2, for me, group 2 is the hard one. When does it sound like t after s, like kiss? Every day I kiss, yesterday I kissed. Every day I miss, yesterday I missed. Kissed and missed, eso no es inglés. Kissed, missed. Si termina con el sonido de F. Now, for example, laugh, reír, ¿no? L-A-U-G-H. Laugh se escribe G-H. How you write it does not matter. Laugh termina con H. No, yeah, but there's no H pronunciation. In the word laugh, or toser, cough. Let me go back. Look at cough. Which one's arriba? Cough. Cough. Cough termina con F, no? Cough, cough, cough. And here we have here. Laugh. También termina con F. So in this case, coughed, laughed. P. Clap, clap. After the show, after the movie, the audience clapped, 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 clapped with a T, clapped. Esperar, hope. El año pasado esperaba tener más estudiantes. Last year, I hoped to have, not hope it is not English. Hoped, con T. All right, kick. patear, I think, right? Kicked, or also what? I can't think of one right now. Kicked.
Cake.
Cake with the past tense would be caked, yeah? Like, oh my God, like. Verbo más común. Gustar, like. I liked the movie. I liked the movie. Liked. CH, watched. Now I know it is very difficult for Spanish speakers to say watched. You have ch y después t. That's difficult. It's difficult for young children in English also. All right. SH, wished. Wash, lavar, no? Lavé el auto. I washed the car. I washed the car. It's T. But these 6 sounds. So if you were teaching, some of you are teaching young children or high school. Young children can't read this. No, and nobody wants to see this PowerPoint slide. So find a song that has words that end in like miss or wash or watch. Find a song that has these words in past tense and have your children sing the song. That's how you teach this. You don't teach this on the whiteboard. You don't teach this, okay, class. Now, in high school students are different. So in high school students, what I would do is, or adults, you see we have 6 sounds, S, F, P, K, C, H, S, H. You see this list? Don't do this. No. I'm going to try to find 10 words, 10 verbs that end in S already, like miss or pass. Find 10 verbs that end in S. Go to Google. You can go to Google and put verbs that end in S. And if you put it in if you put the letter S in the bracket, this, like I have here, it means a sound, not a letter. But if you do that, find 10 verbs and practice only the S words, only the F words, only the P. Practice these 6 separately first, right? And then do them all together. Now, number 3 is a big group. Do you know in English, the #1 way to pronounce the ED for frequency is not id, it's not t, it's a duh. Duh is the #1 way to pronounce ED. The number 2 is, well, you can wait. When you have the book, you can read in the book, okay? But we looking for the verbs and we try to find the answer to these different things like that. All right. So Joel, that's the end. We have about 15 minutes for questions if people want to ask questions. This is the book. If you want to get a copy of the book, I hope you get able to get one. And sorry. And the other book I have that they talked about was a bigger book, just so you can see. It's also grammar, but this is the yellow book. You see, that's how thick it is. The red book is a lot thicker. This is my book that I use, and so I have colleagues who borrow, entre comillas, borrow my books. ¿Cómo hago para evitar que me quiten los libros? Well, first I cut my book. I write my name here, and that way nobody takes my book. Okay, de lejos puedo ver quién me robó el libro. Okay. ¿Me puede prestar su libro? No. No. But and this is a new book. How do I know it's a new book? Porque no está cortado. All of my books are cut, all of them. All right. So Joel, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and we can open the floor up to any questions that people have. Okay.
Thank you, Kit, for a great presentation. You always bring new ideas and very motivational topics for us as teachers. Thank you very much.